All right, all right, all right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Dakota here with another Luxvoni podcast. On today's podcast, we've got a serial entrepreneur, a real estate expert, somebody that has impacted thousands of people and helped them really reach their full potential as real estate professionals. She is a dear friend of mine, also a client of mine, and we're doing some crazy things together that we're going to be sharing with you on today's podcast. But with that being said, welcome my dear friend, Mrs. Traci, to today's podcast.
Thank you, Dakota. Such a huge honor. I'm so blessed and honored to have the honor of working with you and your amazing life-changing company. You've helped so many entrepreneurs grow and prosper and get their message out. So thank you for what you do for so many of us.
Well, thank you. We appreciate you and everything you do as well. So what the premise of this podcast is kind of to take the information from the subject matter experts who have it and really give it to the people who need it. And I think information today is everywhere, but it's quite rare that you have the privilege to jump on something like this with somebody like yourself who has earned millions upon millions of dollars doing with what you actually do. And I think that value brought to our audience in the real estate side could be super valuable. So what I want to do is let's jump into a little bit of a time machine, go back to your upbringing. Let's talk about you, what you were like as a child, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, sure. Well, I was born in the middle of the Mojave Desert and adopted 3 days later. So I think that explains a lot, to say the least. My dad at the time was enlisted Air Force, and he retired very soon after they adopted me. So I was a very late in life child. Both my parents were almost 40 by the time that I was born. And they were on the financial struggle bus my entire life. We moved to Central Texas when I was a baby. My house, my living room faced a laundromat. To quote the line from Evita, I had every disadvantage that you need if you're going to succeed, right? And all that I always wanted to go and do, and I always wanted to learn, and from a very early age, I understood that, I wanted to do any kind of work that I could to earn just a little bit of money, to have just a little bit of freedom, to be able to go and get a Slurpee or, basically just anything that might be an opportunity out there. Hold on just a second. I have lost you completely. Oh, there you go. Lost my screen. So no, I growing up poor, it's very different. You learn first and foremost how to be extremely resourceful. But there's a lot of stuff that you don't learn as well. So anyway, everything from volunteering at the church to babysitting, anything that I could do to make a little money or to get out of the house, was what I was all about. I was a mediocre student at best. But the church was just right up the street. And so the one place that I could always go and find something to do is the church. So from the time that I was, 10, 11, old enough to get out of the house alone, basically I would ride my bike down to the church and go into the pastor's office and ask this pastor's secretary, can I stuff envelopes? Is there anything I can do to serve, right? Because I wanted to help and I wanted to serve and I wanted to be in that environment. And so, proximity is power. If I'd been down the street from a, golf course, I probably would have become a golfer or, a gym down, whatever it is. Anyway, that's kind of the early background. Went to Baylor University, Sic 'em Bears, and got a full ride scholarship. And so what does a poor girl do when she gets a full ride scholarship? Studies education, because apparently I enjoyed being poor, right? I studied theology and then eventually tacked on an education degree, taught for 5 years. And then fate stepped in. Two things happened. The first thing is that I bought my first house, and it was $128,000. And my realtor was lackluster, to say the least. And she made more on that transaction than I would make in an entire month. And that was a real aha moment. And I thought, if this lady can make this kind of money, I could do really, really well. And so that was kind of percolating in the back of my brain. And then on Friday nights, my excitement at the age of 28 years old was to go to Barnes & Noble and read books that I couldn't afford to buy. And, the old saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Well,
Right.
I stumbled upon Tony Robbins' book, Awaken the Giant Within. And the book was, I'm reading the first couple of chapters, the introduction, and I'm crying, sitting in those big, comfortable chairs. And the book was $14, and I had $21 till payday. So I bought that book, and I called and scheduled real estate classes that next Monday, and everything changed.
Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
So one book, one person, just one thing changed the trajectory of your entire life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I went into real estate. Teachers are paid in arrears, at least they are in the great state of Texas. And
Right.
so I cashed in my teacher retirement, and that gave me 2 months' salary. And then I had 2 months' paychecks coming in because we were paid in arrears. So I had 4 months with money coming in. The first 4 months, I didn't make a dime. The 5th month, my cousin bought a house and another city, so I got a $538 referral check. And so 5 months in, I had made less than $600. But that 6th month, I made $12,000, almost half of what I would have made as a school teacher. And I finished the year making $72,000. And when you go from $30,000 to $72,000, your life is forever changed. And I thought, I found my sweet spot.
Unbelievable. And then from there, you went on. What geared you towards real estate? What do you think made you so successful at it? Was it your ability to speak, ability to talk, ability to build rapport? Like, what did that look like? Because I know a lot of realtors today that have been doing it for a year and they've made zero money. So
Yeah.
72,000 may not be 200, but the fact that you hit the ground that quick, there had to be something there.
Yeah. Well, and this was in 1998 when 72,000 was a very, I made more money than most people my age at that point in time. Well, that's an interesting. I appreciate you bringing that up, Dakota. The statistics are pretty grim. For every 3 real estate agents that gets their license, only 1 renews after the first year. And that doesn't mean that one made any money. You hit the nail on the head. Very few real estate agents make much money. We talk about the 80-20 principle, but I believe in our industry, it's probably more like 90-10 and maybe more like 199. 10% of the agents definitely make the overwhelming majority of the money, and the rest really struggle. And it's not for lack of talent or desire or social skills. Agents fail because they don't have quality leads coming to them on a daily basis. And if you don't have leads coming in, it doesn't matter how good you are at your job, how well you can speak, how much you care about your customers. Nothing matters if you don't have qualified leads. Crazy.
You hit it on the head. Grant Cardone, I was at this podcast with Jordan Belfort and Grant Cardone, and there was this crazy thing that should have never happened, but it happened. And they were going back and forth. And Jordan asked Cardone, what's more important, marketing or sales? And Cardone looked at Jordan and was like, dude, it's marketing. It's the holy grail, because I don't care if you take somebody who has been in sales for 15 years and then you take a novice, whoever speaks to the most people in a given day wins the game, period. And I think that that's so mind-blowing that so many people, that disconnect is still there.
Right.
And it's hard. And, you've been able to combat that by helping your people. Tell us about, how did you get into what you do now? Like, okay, you were a successful real estate tell us about that.
Sure. Well, kind of the bill of goods that us real estate agents are sold is that when you start to be successful, then you start a team, which I did. And I grew that to the #1 real estate team in my city. At the time I was with Century 21 and had the #1 Century 21 team in the nation. And so when you start to have that kind of success, then somebody puts the idea in your head, oh, you need to open up a brokerage, right? So I bought my Century 21 franchise, and for the first 2.5 years, lost about $500,000. Because it's a big money pit. Franchises, man, it's a tough gig. And I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have a business degree. I didn't have any support. I didn't have any funding. I was running the whole thing on my credit cards. So I was, the money that I was making as a real estate agent, I was putting it right back in the company. And it was absolutely just pure misery. I went from making a lot of money and not working a lot of hours to working every hour of the day, not having any money, not having, any free time. You're on vacation and somebody calls because they've messed up and you've got to dig them out of their, problems, or the toilet, black flowed into the middle of the, into the hallway and on Sunday afternoon. I mean, there's problem after problem after problem. And so what I found out is the reason that real estate agents are called brokers is because they're broker than they're real estate agents. And that is definitely what I experienced, Anyway, this was early 2000. I opened my office in 2000. And after 2.5 years, I got some coaching and I got some help. And I started investing a lot of money in marketing. And I was able to turn the ship around and turn those offices into very highly profitable offices. And a friend of mine called me that was in the real estate marketing realm. And he said, Traci, the crash is coming. And this is early 2007, right? And I argued with him. Oh, no, everything's going to be fine. I'm in San Antonio and we're insulated and blah, 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 blah. Argued with him. And he got real quiet, and all of a sudden I realized I'm talking to myself. And I finally shut up. And he lowered his voice an octave and he said, Traci, it's coming. And I believed him. And I sold my real estate company 6 weeks before the market crashed by the grace of God. Mm-hmm.
You got lucky.
I did. 100%. Divine intervention, whatever term you prefer. Yeah, it by the grace of God. So I saw everybody else's houses burn down while I had money in the bank. And it was heart-wrenching. I saw people that had magnificent companies and wonderful businesses and were helping the community just, lose their family, lose their house, lose their business, lose their car, moving into one-bedroom apartments. Those of us that were around in 2007, 2008, 2009 remember. And it was tough. It was absolutely terrible. So I went on the professional speaking tour. And I was working with real estate companies to try to help them keep their doors open. I did a lot of training for real estate agents on, making money in a down market and what they needed to do and how they needed to adjust. So I got to work with a lot of different companies and real estate agents at a time where things were really, really bad, which gave me a wonderful bag of golf clubs that I could use because I'd seen so many different problems. And it made me certainly a much better leader and a much better realtor. And anybody that survived that time period, of course, has skills that those of you that have only been licensed for 10 years, you have no idea what is coming. And so I learned a lot of really great lessons. After a while, when things got really, really bad, the person that I sold the real estate company to called me and said, I got to get rid of the company immediately. I bought it back for 7 cents on the dollar. But by that time, the market had really shifted, and the Century 21 brand, it was harder to recruit to. And anyway, I fought for a year and a half, and eventually folded into Keller Williams and became Recruiter of the Year globally for that company. And because I'd always been in that recruiting space, I'd recruited thousands of agents, or over 1,000 agents, to my Century 21 in the 7 years that I had it. Was recruited there globally for Keller Williams, and I thought that would give me some financial freedom, but there really wasn't enough money in the profit share system to make any money, So, Dakota, I got back on that hamster wheel. Get the listing, sell the money, get the listing, sell the listing, spend the money, get the listing, sell the listing, spend the money, hire a team member, hire buyer's agents, hire a listing specialist, hire a virtual assistant. And the bigger my hamster wheel got and the more money I spent, the less money I made. It was right back at that treadmill. And I thought, you know what, this is my lot in life. This is how it's going to be. And I'm just going to be on this track forever.
Right.
And then a friend of mine called me to take a look at this new real estate company. And I said, no. Are you kidding me? I'm exhausted. I don't have the bandwidth. I was making a lot of money. I was making great money, but it was the grind. Right.
Yeah.
And so anyway, he, Traci, just, it's me, just get 20 minutes, just take a look at it. And I took a look at this little startup called EXP Realty, and Dakota, I sat there and I started crying again. You know, it was like, it was that exact moment as when I was 28 years old and I picked up that Tony Robbins book. I knew that my life had changed. And I knew that whether I wanted to leave Keller Williams or not, I had to, because it would be financially responsible to not join this little startup. And when I joined, I was agent number 731. Great little side story. As I'm checking out the company, they had this thing called a cloud campus. We now call it a metaverse, right? They had this thing called the cloud campus. And so I was intrigued. So I, downloaded the campus and went in as my little avatar. And the first person I met was a guy named Logan. And I said, hey, I'm thinking about joining EXP. Can you show me around? He said, you need to talk to my dad, Dave. He's the head of growth for EXP. So he showed me how to beam my avatar into Dave's office's avatar. And Dave and I met, and we met in the metaverse, and we are the first couple ever to get married in the metaverse. In fact, I've got a little,
wow.
The New York Times. Yeah, the New York Times ran a full color spread on our wedding. And then that story got picked up, and our wedding has been covered by more than 6,000 news stories on every continent except Antarctica. So not only can you make a lot of money in the EXP campus, you can find the love of your life as well.
That's the ultimate story.
It's a long answer to a short question. Yeah.
That's incredible. So you get into EXP, you meet the love of your life. You guys have so much in common. You're building businesses. Tell us about EXP and what really separates EXP from everybody else, and why someone like you that has ran offices with thousands of agents decided to partner with a company like EXP and, work with them.
Yeah, great question. It's very simply a better business model. Okay, so think of it as Netflix only for real estate, as Uber only for real estate. So we're cloud based, so we've gotten rid of all the bricks and mortar. And as somebody that ran 5 Century 21 offices, my overhead was $75,000 a month before I made a dime, and that was back in 2006 when that was a lot of money, right? And you get paid last. So with EXP, because they got rid of all the overhead, they were able to really spend a lot of money, time, and energy in helping real estate agents make more money in their traditional real estate business. The reason that I believe every agent should be with EXP is for one reason and one alone. You're going to make more money in your traditional real estate business because of the tools and systems that EXP brings to the table. And it allows us to really leverage the technology in a radically different way, collaborate differently. We're in all 50 states and in 23 other countries. We've got commercial, we've got REO, we've got relocation. We've got a lot of different lead sources. We've got a tremendous iBuyer program. So there's a lot of different ways for real estate agents to make money. And then they've got this little thing called revenue share. Now, again, when I was with Keller Williams, I was Recruiter of the Year globally for them. My first year, I recruited 53 agents to that company. 3 years later, that 53 had morphed into 58. Okay. With EXP, I know, and I never saw a profit share check big enough to make a car payment, right?
Right.
But with EXP, I personally have sponsored into the company 51 agents that are with us today. And that 51 agents has turned into a revenue share organization of over 7,100 agents. So I'm getting residual income off of over 7,000 real estate agents. So it's given me the opportunity to have a life of, time and money freedom. I look out over the beautiful, Atlantic Ocean and the 18th hole of the world famous Jack Nicklaus Ocean Golf Course in Hammock Beach. I mean, it's taken me from a struggling real estate agent to a life of true financial time freedom and money freedom. And that's something I was never able to do with any other real estate brand.
Yeah, I think, God, it's unbelievable. Just thinking about all those years of struggle, one good decision, one good opportunity, and now, I mean, you make a boatload of money. And it's kind of crazy when you think about that teacher salary to what you're doing now.
Right.
What do you think it is? Like, I think some people get confused and they're like, it's like some mystical unicorn thing making money and stuff like that. It's really not. It's really easy to do, but you've got to be able to jump into it. What do you think? What do you think's the main difference? Like, if you could have had the EXP opportunity back when you were a school teacher, do you think you would have the same results that you have today?
Well, your income only grows as much as your personal development does. There's
Love
no
it.
doubt about it. And that's one of the great things about real estate in general is that most people that are into real estate are doing some sort of self-development work as well. My first money I spent with Tony Robbins was that $14. Then I finally, when I started making money, I got the Get the Edge program, which was like $600. And then I went to go see him and walked on fire. And then I did, wealth mastery and business mastery. And, now Dave and I, last 2 years ago, we're Tony Robbins Platinum Partners. I've probably spent $500,000 or more just with Tony Robbins, but it's helped me make millions and millions of dollars. And, my most recent book, Millionaire Mindset for Real Estate Wealth, shameless plug. And I sell this on Amazon as cheaply as they'll let me sell it. Okay, it's not a profit center. But at the end of the day, until you get this 6 inches right, then everything else is a waste of time and energy. You've got to start with the mindset, and then you go with proven techniques that will help you be successful. You don't have the luxury of trying to figure it out on your own. You have absolutely positively got to find a guide, a mentor, a coach, and a company that can help you grow and prosper. And that's why I'm doing business with you, my good man.
Yeah, well, thank you. And we share that in common too. And I think it's so hard that I think the first thing that entrepreneurs should work on is their mindset.
Me too.
Before they do anything. Because with a broken mindset, you got a broken life, a broken reality, a broken mind, a broken bank account, broken everything. But if you can dial that in and find somebody like Traci or find EXP, like one of the things that I respect about those guys is it's not just grown and made their agents real money, but it's the culture that goes along with it. Like it's thriving. People want to grow. People want to be better. They're inspired. They're elevating. They're bringing each other up. Everybody has people's best interests at heart. And they're coaches. They want to coach each other on getting to that next level. And I think there is a incredible amount of value in finding an entourage, an inner circle like that, a mastermind group that you can align yourself with those people. Because the fact of the matter is, everything you want, somebody's already done. So if you want to like go out and create the wheel yourself, you can blow 10 years of your life like me and you both have. Like you, when you were working with, when you were building your brokerage.
Right.
It's hard. When I first started Luxvoni, I didn't take a profit for 3 years.
There you go.
It's painful. Like you don't want to do that. But looking back at it, I'm like, I could have done all of that in 6 months.
All right.
I just didn't have the right team. I didn't have the right inner circle. So I think that that's the key to joining a good team like that. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, what you said extremely eloquently, and you hit the nail on the head. It all starts with mindset, and then you want to find a group of people that want to help you and want to help you grow and prosper. And the chat when I owned my brokerage, I think the highest agent count I had at any one time was 220 agents. Well, I couldn't coach and mentor 220 agents, right? I couldn't do training. I couldn't do all the kind of training. Couldn't do everything that I wanted to for those agents. Well, with EXP, we have over 60 hours a week of live training classes. I don't have to do the training. And the training is done by our successful real estate agents. I've certainly taught a lot of classes in the cloud, and all 87,000 agents can be a part of those classes. So when you have the best and the brightest in the real estate industry coming in and teaching you, you're going to go further. And because of our revolutionary revenue share model, you've got 7 people that have a vested interest in your financial success. So it's not just me that's there to help you. You've got 6 other people that are there to help you grow and prosper. And that doesn't count the leadership. Our founder, Glenn Sanford, quite possibly the most brilliant man I've ever met, is a former real estate. He's still a real estate agent. He doesn't actively sell anymore because he's literally on the billionaire list now, but he's very active in the company. He understands the plight of real estate agents. He understands the problems that we have. He understands what can help us grow and be successful. And because he comes from a technology background, he's been able to teach us how to leverage technology. And that's exactly the reason that I do business with you, my good man, because you are all about leveraging technology. You're not about figuring it out. You're about like, you know what? We've run the tests. We know what works. We know what it doesn't work. Let me save you 10 years and $500,000. And it's not just the money that agents waste on what they do. It's the opportunity cost as well. So you got to join a company that can help you grow, and you've got to find leaders and mentors that you can align with that truly want you to grow and prosper. And in a perfect world, have a vested interest in that success.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the things that my buddy old Brad Lee always says is training's not something you have done. It's something you do.
Yeah.
So like building a company that's all around, the problem with training is like keynotes. You've done keynote speeches, you've done workshops,
Billions
you've
of
worked
them.
with a lot of brokerages, and I've done keynotes and stuff too. And the problem that I have with them, and the reason why I do not do them anymore, I don't care if the fee's 25 grand or 50 grand. I feel like I'm doing a disservice to the audience because all I'm doing is hyping them up for a minute, getting that shift in their mind to realize that they can do something that they're never done before to get something that they've never gotten before. And then they leave that room, they go back to their life, and nothing changes.
Right.
But with EXP, with evergreening, with technology, training has to be interactive. It has to be something that you can run 24/7. And the only way to reach the masses in an evergreen format is like that. I think that's what training is. And that's why I've built so many coursewares. And I've partnered with so many huge courseware, Ty Lopez, Sam Ovens, some of these guys. And that's what I love about that industry. Because in today's world, look at it. It's like you can sit at home and hang out with the most talented subject matter experts on your computer and get it all. Like back in the 1800s, if I wanted to come see you, I have to jump on a damn horse and ride 8 days to even visit you. And then I look at like the world today, and like anxiety's at this all-time high, depression's at an all-time high, and I'm like what is going on here? Because it's crazy how available everything is.
Right. Yeah, since Al Gore invented the internet, the world definitely got a whole lot smaller. And whatever it is that you want to learn, like you said, there's somebody that's been there that will take your hand and teach it to you.
Yeah. And I think that's cool too, is like a lot of realtors maybe watching this, they maybe have a coach, they maybe have, someone like that. And I think there's power in numbers though. And one of the things that I have issues with, and I try not to be too blunt about it, but in today's world with social media and everything else, you've got broke people giving financial advice. You've got alcoholics giving addiction. It's just a weird world that we live in now. And I think if you're a realtor on this, verify. I'm not saying be skeptical, but I'm saying if you want to be the best, just go learn from the best.
Right.
If somebody's making $100 grand a year and you do 10% as well as them, great. You just made $10,000 for yourself. Whoop-de-doo. But when you've got somebody making millions of dollars a year, when you got EXP with all of these top producers that have done it consistently, if you do 10% as well, you just made $100 grand.
Right.
25%, 250.
And you can live on $100 grand in most cities. Absolutely. So, and that's just the starting point. That's the great thing. And I think that what you said again is incredibly profound. You got to find a mentor that you want not only their check, but their lifestyle. Okay. When I owned my real estate company, when things turned around, I started making really good money, right? Nothing like what I'm making now, nowhere near. I think my top year I made $750,000 if memory serves. So I'm making way, way more now and working a fraction of the time. But you wouldn't have wanted my lifestyle, right?
No.
But today, I got to tell you, Dave and I work on average about 10 to 15 hours a week. We take, for the most part, we have 4-day weekends. We work Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday most weeks. And, we golf, every other day pretty much. And we really have been able to establish money and time freedom. A lot of real estate agents get financially free, but they're having to work and work and work and work and work to keep up that lifestyle. And let me tell you, when you're in your 20s and 30s and maybe 40s, that grind can be okay, can be attractive. But when I'm 52. When you hit 52, You don't want to work that hard anymore.
No. It's about working smarter, not harder.
Right. And working because you want to.
And you didn't get into real estate to buy a job.
Right.
Like, literally, you're buying yourself a job. But if you do it the other way, the way that you've done it, you've shown that it's not about just time, it's about leverage. And that's what I love about marketing and sales. And, you know, you can leverage yourself like Oprah, just for example. She got the same 24 hours a day that me, you, or anyone watching this has. Difference of it is how does she have I don't know what her net worth is, $3 billion now, I think. How does she have a $3 billion net worth with the same 24 hours that we have? And we have an X amount of net worth. Well, the difference is leverage. She's evergreen. She's running 24/7, 365.
Right.
So you've been able to do that in ways, and you've been able to streamline that. And I think if you're watching this and you're a realtor who's burnt out, who's not making what they need to make, I think, one, you need to find a mentor. But two, if you want to learn from the best, I would definitely get in with Traci and EXP and listen to those guys, because not many people can impact thousands, not 1,000, not 2,000, not 3,000. 6,000 to 7,000 people is what these people have impacted. That's amazing.
It's an exciting model, and it really comes down to the brilliance of Glenn Sanford and the model that he created, which allows us to have that leverage and allows me to help and serve so many real estate agents in so many different parts of the world. You know, I mean, I've got team members in India, right? I mean, that's when you grow up and your living room faces the laundromat, you never think about having a global business when you grow up. But that's what EXP's allowed me to do. And because EXP takes care of, you know, all the compliance, I don't have to do any compliance because we've got compliance brokers that do that. I don't have to do all the training because we've got people that do that. I don't have to, you know, do the marketing. I don't have to do that. All I have to do is just pour into my people. My full-time job is to help my agents grow and prosper. And I don't have to do any of the stuff that is just not very fun, like compliance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't enjoy that either.
No, it's not a fun part of the job, that's for sure. And that's the great thing about this revolutionary model. It's a better system for real estate agents. It's certainly a better system for agents that have influence. So for very successful real estate agents, people that maybe are in the coaching industry or that are running big teams or have a little bit of celebrity status in their local market, well, they can leverage that success in a very, very big way with the XP, where you just can't do it with your traditional real estate company. So
leverage makes it completely different. Now, of course, you haven't sold in a few years. You haven't sold in a while as far as homes go, because again, you're leveraged. You've got a better deal going on, and you're impacting thousands, right? If you could go back and let's say take 10 years back and you could give yourself advice as a realtor, what would be a couple of steps that you would give somebody? I mean, $750,000 a year, a lot of people are sitting on this saying, damn, I'd like to earn that type of money. Well, you've already done it. So what steps would you tell them?
Well, you know, the world has changed, and what worked when I was selling real estate does not work anymore. You know, when I was coming up, you know, we were making cold calls. My first instruction from my broker was, here's the crisscross directory. Call homeowners on this street and see if they want to sell their house. Okay, that's how old I am, right? So, you know, what's working right now from every data research point out there, and again, with the XP, we're very blessed because we got data research from all kinds of different markets. Funnels is working better than anything. And price reduced funnels is working extraordinarily well. Find out what your home is worth funnels are doing very well. Express offers funnels are working extremely well. It really, right now, everything is funnel based. And then, you know, paid advertising. So Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, Instagram ads, you know, the Google ads, of course, YouTube ads, things like that. Everything has changed. So if you're still doing what you were doing 2 or 3 years ago, you're probably already out of business. You might not know it yet, but there's just no way to compete with people that are leveraging technology in that way. So especially in the luxury market. And that was always my specialty, was luxury.
Yeah. And luxury is a good place too, because you could sell one house and make up for 10 houses.
Right.
But
Right.
again, it's a different model.
Yeah, and EXP's got a great commercial division. And truthfully, in hindsight, when I sold my real estate company in 2007, I toyed with the idea of transitioning into commercial, and I kind of got talked out of it. Oh, you're so good at residential, blah 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 blah. Stick to what you know. Well, I think that was bad advice, right? Commercial,
Right.
in my humble opinion, is the place to be because first of all, it's traditional business hours. You're going to make a whole lot more money. And if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. So you don't have the emotional roller coaster like you have with buyers and sellers. So, and the great thing about EXP is that you can do both commercial and residential if you're so inclined.
Unbelievable. Now, how does somebody like yourself come in and start with 57 people and end up with 6,000 or 7,000 people under you? What does that look like?
Well, first and foremost, I've been recruiting real estate agents since Clinton was in office. Okay, so it's not my first day. So I always tell people, don't compare my chapter 23 to your chapter 1. Okay, I've been in the industry a really long time. But the truth of the matter is that it really has to do with attracting the right team. And to attract the right people into your business, you have to be the right person. It's exactly what we were talking about earlier. I spend a lot of time, money, and energy on being a better Traci, on really focusing on how can I serve more people? How can I help more? How can I come from the biggest place of contribution? And so I went through a period a couple of weeks ago where I had laryngitis really bad, and my little tea bag, the little words of wisdom on my tea bag is let your heart speak to their hearts. And I actually pulled it off my tea bag and I put it on my mirror because I feel like because I love real estate agents and because I care about real estate agents. And, like I said, I was a theology major and then I was a school teacher. I want to serve people. I want to help. So I'm very blessed that I attract other people that want to serve other people and that want to help. And, I've got great skills. I can help a real estate agent that's brand new in the business or is struggling with their business, and I can show them, okay, you got to stop doing this completely, and you got to start doing this, and instead of spending this money in this area, spend this money over here, and stop spending this, stop doing this, stop doing the same thing over and over again, like you talked about earlier. It really comes down to you've got to have the right skills and the right techniques. Now, I'm very blessed being part of the EXP because we have this treasure trove of magnificent agents that are doing business in very cutting edge ways. So the things that I learned when I joined EXP 7 years ago are not the things that the brightest and best are teaching now, right? The industry is always changing. And if you're not with a company that lets you kind of have an inside peek on what's up and coming, man, you're always going to be a day or two behind. So,
yeah. And I love that serving people, contribution. It's not about just money. Right. Because me and you both, we've made a lot of money. And there comes a point where you realize you make it. Then you find out you can make a lot of it, but you've got no time to spend it.
Right.
And then you realize you've got the homes, you've got the cars, you've got supercars, you're traveling here. But at the end of the day, what gets me now, and I think this is what motivates you as well, is being able to take a business or take a real estate professional and take them from their current situation of frustration and just pain and sacrifice and lead them to that desired situation and watch them morph and then watch their family benefit from it, their friends benefit. That's what gets me.
Yeah. That's the best thing there is.
Like it feels so great to just be able to do that. You've done it on such a big level. And I think if you're getting into real estate and things like that, yeah, you can make money, but the question of it is, how many people can you really help? Because you're helping somebody make the biggest investment that they're typically going to make in their entire life when they're buying a home.
Yep.
So how do you stand out? I think that could really help. And when you were selling houses, what made you stand out, do you think? Was it, yes, marketing, lead gen, leads, all of that, but you've also built this very unique persona, and it's you being authentic. How do you do that with people? Like, how are you so likable? What does that look like?
Oh, well, first of all, flattery will get you everywhere. So thank you so much. I think a lot of it just comes from the place that my true heart's desire is to help people, and people feel that. They really do. And then I learned from the best, and I, again, you've heard me say it, proximity is power. So when I first decided, my first year of selling real estate, again, I made $78,000, but my average sales price was $72,000. Remember, this is the late 90s and I'm in San Antonio, Texas, right? So when I decided that I was going to focus on luxury, well, I read every book I could find about working with luxury sellers. The Tom Stanley, I think it's Tom Stanley, networking with the affluent, marketing to the affluent, and selling to the affluent. I started with those books. There's a great book, or was a great book, I don't know if it's even in print anymore, called Sex and Real Estate, which taught me about how we go through different stages in our life, and that affects the kind of real estate that we want. And I really went in deep of understanding how to serve the wealthy. And the way that you do business with wealthy people is that you help them. You've got to come from a place of contribution. So I got really involved in the Rotary. I got really involved I joined a country club, and I didn't really have the money to join a country club, but I did it anyway. And, that never cost me money. I always made money from being a part of a country club because it brought me clients, it brought me friends, it brought me several of my real estate agents that work with me to this day. I met at my country club. So you've got to go where your target market is, and you've got to go there to give back. You're never going to get anything if you lead with, hey, how can you help me? You've got to lead with, hey, how can I serve you? And then the universe opens up doors for you.
Yeah, I love that. Contribution.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people need to take a deep dive in and look at that, because your intentions are pure. And when your intentions are pure, you put that energy into the world, all of a sudden your bank account becomes real pure.
I've never heard it worded like that, but you speak the truth, my good man. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm trying. So what does the next 3 to 5 years look like for you? What's your mission? What's your vision? What are you doing right now? Mm-hmm. I'd love to hear that.
Well, as we've discussed, none of us have a crystal ball, right? But the people that are smarter than me, that have access to bigger data than I have, don't have a real rosy picture of what's about to happen in the real estate market. I mean, we're already seeing it in most parts of the country, right? We're already seeing a significant slowdown. And as somebody that lived through the housing crisis in 2006, 7, 8, 9, I fear that something very similar may be coming. And a lot of people are already seeing that. And what we found during that terrible time is that a small number of agents made generational wealth. And investors that invested strategically in real estate are home free right now. So the greatest opportunities usually come in downturns. So I'm here to serve the agents that, first of all, have the grit to get up and continue to find new ways of doing business, because what worked a year ago does not work anymore. The business is no longer falling from the sky. Interest rates aren't, a fraction of what they were whenever I started in the industry. And so you got to have a different level of stamina. You got to have a different level of grit. And you've really got to be hyper focused on your own self-development and how can I best serve my clients. And you got to have enough in reserves to have a little bit of an advertising budget. You got to have the money there to help fuel the business. And then you got to spend that money very, very, very strategically. Agents will throw money at systems and social media, this and blah, 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 without any clear understanding or any clear path or any clear, Mr. Miyagi, what's the guy from Karate Kid? Mr. Miyagi. Yeah.
Miyagi, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Miyagi. You got to be following the right Mr. Miyagi, because if you're following the wrong leader, if you're following a leader that hasn't had any success for the past 10 years, good luck. You've got to be a part of a dynamic company and a dynamic group of people that are growing and learning and building right now. And man, you gotta go all in 100%.
All the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that subprime mortgage crisis, I was obsessed with it when it happened, because it was like the biggest scale of fraud that has ever existed in the world, I think. And nobody but one person went to jail for it. But if you think about 2008, I think a lot of people miss this. 50% of the U.S. population foreclosed on their homes. like 50%. Like that's a little crazy. And if you look at the trends like you're talking about right now, definitely here in Vegas, we're starting to look at how the interest rates are. Look at how things are going. Right. And if you look at Warren Buffett, he always says, be greedy when others are fearful and be fearful when others are greedy. Right. If you look at guys like that, or you look at Michael from The Big Short, who shorted the housing market.
Yeah.
I mean, that dude made like $6 billion off of, shorting a security that wasn't even built. He created it with these banks and they laughed him out of the thing. So I think every industry rewards disruptors.
Yeah.
People that stand out, people that are ballsy, people that are willing to do whatever it takes. And one of the quotes I have tattooed on my side is nothing worthwhile is achieved without sacrifice, and true greatness only comes to those willing to pursue it at any cost. Wow. And I think that that's big to me, because the more that you sacrifice as a real estate professional, the more that you're going to get. And I think that's in every industry. But I think with what's about to come now, if you're in this game and you're doing okay, be prepared, because it's gonna shift.
100%. And it's so much easier to find a solution while there's just a little bit of pain than when the pain is excruciating, right? So, like when my dad had cancer, and I remember, they gave him the little morphine drip, and what the doctor said is that it's easy to control a little bit of pain, but when the pain gets really big, it's very difficult to control. And that's true in every part of our life, right? If I went through 8 years ago, right before EXP found me, I lost 40 pounds in 4 months, right? And yeah, I know. It's like, it was of all things that I've done, that's the thing that people want to talk about the most, it seems like, still to this day. But once I lost the weight, I get on the scale every single morning. And if I'm an ounce over what my threshold weight is, then I get back on the wagon, and I'm as super, super, super good as a girl can possibly be until I lose that pound. Because it's real easy to lose a pound. It's not real easy to lose 10 pounds. And it's sure not easy to lose 40 pounds. It's the exact same way in your finances, right? So if last January if last December you did $1 million in sales, and this December you did 300,000 in sales, guess what? You're in pain, but it's not really bad yet, right? Because you can still live selling 1 or 2 houses a month. But you put that trajectory out, if things go really badly, my goodness, then how much longer can you continue How much longer can you continue down that path? Yeah. And you've got to be incredibly, incredibly careful about that. Move when there's a tiny little bit of pain, not whenever you're gushing blood.
Too far gone, yeah. Yeah, I think that's valuable. Now, what type of advice could you give to somebody? You're very strategic, you're disciplined, you have a lot of strategy, you're well thought. What does the day in your life look like? How does your morning routine, what is your evening routine? Like, I'm always obsessed with those routines. What does your routine look like from morning to evening?
I am so glad you asked. So, like I said, we live on the ocean, right? And so every single morning, my alarm is set for 40 minutes before sunrise so that I can enjoy kind of the pre-sunrise glory. I've got the remote control blinds. So literally the alarm goes off and I wake up to Michael Bublé, It's a New Day. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. That's the song that I wake up to every morning. So that's what I wake up to because I love the frame, the mind that puts me in. I open up my blinds. I jump out of bed. I'm like a 5-year-old, right? I hate to go to bed, and I am so excited to get up in the mornings. I love it. I take out my little 5-pound furry friend, come back up and have a cup of coffee and bring Dave a cup of coffee. And we watch sunrise from the balcony every single solitary morning. Every single solitary morning. Yep. Mm-hmm. And then slow roll the mornings, that after that I get ready. I don't have any appointments or rarely have appointments before 9 a.m., because I want to be able to, I'm very, very productive in the morning. So that's the time that I write. That's the time that I, do my energy work. That's the time that I spend in meditation. It's the time that I exercise every once in a while. And it's the time that I do my most challenging work. So if I need to write an email sequence, or if I need to, have a difficult conversation with one of my team members, or if I'm, talking to a recruit that I really want to join my team, I try to do that very early in the day. Right. And then, I do Mondays and Fridays, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We take off most weeks. And so we do a lot of golf and have a really good time with that. We live in a country club community. So I take the elevator down, and there's 7 restaurants here at our beautiful resort. And so we, there's always fun stuff going on. We have a very, very active social life and have a really great time with that. When I do work, my entire work day is focused on how do I help my agents make more money in their traditional real estate business. And for those that want to build lifelong residual income, how do I help those agents, bring more agents into EXP? And those agents that do come into EXP, how do I help them make more money? Because if there's no revenue, there's no revenue share, right? The reason that EXP has grown the way that it has is because we have the infrastructure and the tools to help agents sell more houses. It's that simple. So, lots of time in studying. I still do tons of self-development work. Love seminars, love to grow, love to prosper. Rarely listen to music. It's all about my Audible account and, listening to YouTube videos. And, I love to learn. So that helps too. So,
yeah. That's a great one. I do the same thing. Like morning times I'm not reactive. Right. I'm proactive. And I often tell people, it's like, how can you prioritize your own agenda when the first thing in the day you're reacting to somebody else's agenda?
Wow. That's a good question.
Because it's like so many people wake up, and I know realtors do it. I know I was in sales for, years and years and years. And I think that's one of just like you've built thriving teams that have gone out and sold houses and stuff. I'm obsessed with the psychology of sales, and I always have been. Mm-hmm. And I think with salespeople, it's like that too. It's hard because your job is to react. Your job is to close, serve, help people get to the next level. And I think it's so often that, we start our mornings like that, and we don't realize that in order to have a good day, you have to have a good morning.
Yeah.
So if you're doing that first thing in the morning, it can disrupt your whole day. So like me, my phone's off till 12 o'clock every day.
Oh, wow.
I'm untouchable until 12. And everybody knows it. Nobody texts me. Nobody slacks me. Nobody messages me. I keep it off till 12. And then after 12 o'clock, I open up to react. And that's what's worked for me. A lot of people can't do that. But I think your morning routine being about personal development, being present with your significant other, you're not reacting, right? It's proactive. And I think a lot of people can get a lot of benefit because a lot of the success stuff, it's the little things, right? Like it's the morning routine. It's the self-development. It's the evening routine. How do you unwind? How do you manage your energy? Do you meditate? Are you good with yourself? What's your relationship look like with yourself? You got to get those things in order. And then you wake up every single day like me and you. I'm running through the house, sliding in my socks at 7 o'clock. I got music blaring. And then before bed, I'm like, I'm ready to keep going.
Yeah. It's very easy to take control of your mornings. So I think that's some of the best advice you can ever have. And, when I first got into real estate, I read a quote by Mary Kay that said that you can do more between 5 and 8 than you can between 8 and 5. So I became a member of the 5 o'clock club and was a member of the 5 o'clock club for a lot of years. Not anymore, because sunrise isn't quite that early. But that was very instrumental. And that's what really set the foundation, because I found out that if I got up early in the morning, I could take that time for myself. But if I got up, just in time to get my makeup on and get out the door, then there was no opportunity for me to take care of myself or for me to take care of anything that was really important.
Anything. Yeah. I love that.
I love that terminology about how how did you word it? How you don't react to anything until after 12 o'clock. How did you, I thought that was very,
Yeah.
yeah.
How can you prioritize your agenda when you're reacting to somebody else's first thing?
There you go.
And like at the end of the day, it's like, if you think about it, what really moves the needle is typically a couple of things. And we all know what moves the needle, but we get distorted and our perception changes and we think that all this other stuff matters. But in the reality, there's typically one thing that moves the needle. So like with realtors, with us, with, Luxvoni, we do $1 million a month. We're trying to get to $5 million a month. But in order to get to $5 million a month, you might think, oh God, more operations, more. It's all subjective bullshit. It's one thing. Yeah. It's lead gen. So how do you scale the lead gen to do 5 times what we're already doing? And then you take the revenue and you fix all the problems. I think so many people sit around and they don't want to get started. Everything's got to be perfect. The opposite, if you look at Sam Ovens, if you look at Ty Lopez, if you look at Cardone, if you look at Tony Robbins, if you look at any of these guys that are killing it with funnels right now, the one thing that they prioritize in their business over everything else is client acquisition.
Right.
That's the game. So if you just focus on that as a realtor and you woke up every single day with 7 to 8 listings, you don't even have to do anything. You already know you're going to make money.
Right.
Because you're just mastering the day. So I think a lot of people will say, what's my 1-year goal? What's my weekly goal? I don't look at any of that. I just look at what's my daily goal. And if I time block my schedule and I prioritize everything that matters, then I don't have to worry about my 1-year goal because it's going to grow.
Right. Yeah, so it's very simple. It's a very simple formula once you crack it. Yeah, the challenge is most agents never master lead generation. Most people never master lead generation, regardless of the business that they're in. And you hit the nail on the head. That's the beginning. That's the alpha and the omega, the beginning and the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what your company does better than anybody. That's blessed to be in business with you.
It's 10 years of pain, and we've figured it out. But the other thing I want to add to that is like, we talk about like that challenge of what you went through building your own brokerage and all of that. And it takes thick skin. But the other thing that I find so weird is people will say, I mean, I know realtors that say it, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Everybody wants to say that. And then when it comes down to it, like when you have a child, for example, I'm a dog guy. I have dogs. You have a puppy. I'm obsessed with dogs. But like with a child, for example, when you bring that child into the world, the only thing that matters is that child. You'll prioritize that child over everything else.
Sure.
So what I often tell people is your business is your child. So when's the last time you didn't pull money from it? When's the last time you reinvested in it? When's the last, like if it's really in the best interest of your business, you got to prioritize that business. And sometimes you might need to wait on the $3,000 a month car payments.
Right.
You might need to wait on, exotic cars. Like I have a Urus, but the reason why I have a Urus is I was either going to give that money to the IRS or I was going to take a tax deduction on the full amount and pay 0 taxes. So it's got to like make sense too. Sure. But I think that some of that stuff is the stuff that I find interesting that nobody talks about.
But the fact that you knew about the tax deduction for the vehicle, you sought out good advice in that area. And again, that's the mistake that so many people make, is that they want to figure it out on their own. They don't want to pay for a professional. They want to use our real estate terms, they want to for sale by owner it. And when you start trying to for sale by owner your marketing budget, may God have mercy on your soul, because it doesn't tend to go very well, right?
Yeah. And you pay a price either way.
Yeah.
But
I
pay the price up front or pay the price of the opportunity cost, like you mentioned, and the loss and the frustration. Like I found a guy for taxes, like when it comes to like finding mentors, I'm not a subject matter expert in everything.
Right.
That's why I partnered with you. Like you are the subject matter expert. I'm good in lead gen. But the other thing is being conscious enough to realize You don't need to be good at everything. You need to find other people who are good at it and partner with them.
Right.
So like with my CPA, he was a referral from a guy who netted $8 million in personal income and paid $32,000 in taxes.
Oh my gosh. I gotta get the name of your CPA.
I said, what? And I go over to his house. He lives in the same country club I'm living in. I actually live in his old house.
Oh, wow.
And he lives in this 15,000 square foot home that he bought for a steal in 2008.
There you go.
House was worth $4 million. He paid 1.7 cash for it. Dude was upside down. But we're sitting there and he's got these books. And I'm like, what the hell is all that? He's like, that's taxes. And I was like, oh my God, it's a lot. And he's like, yeah, it's like 50 grand right there for those books.
Wow.
And I start laughing and he's like, but the 50 grand saved me X. And he's so transparent. He's like my mentor. He's Finley Automotive Group. They're one of the biggest dealerships in the country. It's Bill Shack. He was partners with them, exited for $60 million.
Oh.
And that's my mentor. But he looked at me and he was like, yeah, 50,000. But here, look at, he opens up all the books and I'm like reading through this. And I'm like, oh my God, how do you do this? And he's like, man, I haven't been audited in 26 years.
Wow.
And I'm like, what? So then he connects me with his CPA. And then I understand the formula. Oh, you need 15% of T&E. You need 15% accoladed towards your actual legal budget. That needs to scale. You need to deduct this, spend this, distribute credit cards through the whole company, make sure everybody's spending the T&E. And then what ends up happening, instead of paying 40% taxes, you're going to pay 15%. And then deducting it. Like I would have never known that if I didn't seek advice. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. And you know, that's the great thing. You got advice from somebody that had the lifestyle that you crave.
Yes.
So
and I was willing to listen to him.
And take action.
And take action. And when he tore apart my financials and said, you're screwing all this shit up, I listened.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the quote from Mark Twain that was in the movie. In fact, I think it's How the Big Short began. It's not what you don't know that gets you. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. So let's talk about what we're doing, what we're building. Let's talk about you, what your plans are. I want to give some audience a little bit of context on why we're here, what we're doing, and I'm super excited for it. Tell us about this whole thing we're building. What are we doing?
Well, we are going to do a partnership to help real estate agents make a lot more money in their traditional real estate business. Can I get a hallelujah on that? And the timing couldn't be better, right?
Right.
Yeah, leveraging the power of funnels and successful marketing techniques that have been used in many industries, not just the real estate industry. And so I think that that's what's so powerful about a partnership with you is that most of the people that I know are fellow real estate agents, and you look at everything with completely different eyes and a completely different skill set and a completely different understanding of what actually works in the real world. So tell everybody a little bit about the success that you have for your clients, and let's talk about how we're going to help real estate agents get financially free.
Yeah, so thank you for that. And I think, like I mentioned earlier, it's all about lead gen. And I've been in the internet marketing space since, 2015. Is when I first got into. I sold my first business at 22 years old. It was a franchise mobile detailing company. I grew that to 6 vans, got in with some dealerships. We would put 25 people on each van, charge them $397 a month. We would clean their cars at their work or their place of residence on a monthly basis. And then if they had family in, they could rotate cars in for additional $60 on every single car. So we got in with some dealerships. My grandfather was a big dealer in Blacksburg, Virginia, Bob Comer. He sold all the dealerships to Gary Duncan, my godfather. And I started in the dealership in the automotive world. And I got into that, built a detailing company, sold it, but realized the reason why I sold it is, yes, our services were good, Yes, we had great quality of service, but the thing of it was people didn't realize what I was doing. I had a funnel that was feeding me with sales. I would then take these phone calls, close people on these services, and then take all their money, bring it to the dealership, and finance the van before I had all the money up front. So I wouldn't even have the van ready. I would push their service date 2 weeks out and collect all the cash. So I did that, and we replicated that 6 times, and then I sold it. And then after that, I realized the reason why I was able to scale came down to what we're talking about today. It's lead gen. It's having a client acquisition model that actually works. So then I got in with Ty Lopez. I got in with all these internet marketers. I started running around with these guys. That led to me being the chief marketing officer for Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street. I lived with the guy for an entire year.
Wow.
We built a webinar that did 1.6 million bucks in 30 days.
Oh my God.
It was crazy. You know, it was unbelievable. I had a blast. Jordan looked after me, still a good friend to this day. But then we started building Luxvoni. Jordan started referring clients. I'm on the phone with A-Rod. I'm on the phone with like people that I never thought I would ever touch.
Right.
And it started as a consulting practice. And I came to Vegas. I had like $60,000-$70,000 a month just in recurring retainers. And it was just me. And then I went through the same journey that you went. It's like, God, I got all this money, but I can't spend it.
Yeah.
What do I need to do? So I made that transition. And that's when Luxvoni was really founded. And it started out building webinars. We would build webinars, and there would be like 6-month projects. And we would take a percentage of the top side. So somebody would pay us a fee. We would build the slides, the funnel, the automation, run all the ads and everything. We would take a rev share off the top. And that went on to do really good. We had a couple of huge ones, and they made us a lot of money. And then I got into the space to where I was like, okay, not everybody needs a webinar. I mean, majority of people do, but product-based businesses and everything else. And it was always the funnel that had made me successful and, you know, running paid traffic. So then we morphed Luxvoni into, you know, we still do webinars, consulting around them. But now we're the number one done for you sales funnel agency. And I mean, we've got 60 people on payroll. We've got contractors all over the world. Our leadership team, just like you talked about, I knew I'm good at one thing. I'm very good at like CMO and VP of sales work, blending marketing and sales together. But where I do not thrive is operations.
Yeah.
I don't thrive in systems. I don't thrive in HR. I'm impatient. My personality profiles don't make up those psychometric assessments. So instead of basically having an ego and saying, this is the Dakota show, I finally just said, okay, I'm going to go find the best of the pest, and I'm going to sell them and close them on joining our team, kind of in a way like you have been able to do. Except the crazy part of it we recruited Jonathan Kendall, the CEO of Mentor Box, built a $37 million a year membership site. And he's the guy that built the famous cap raise funnel for Ty Lopez, who did $250 million in a cap raise in 2 years. Ty Lopez bought bodybuilding.com, Radio Shack, Dress Barn, Linen and Things. That's the funnel that he used. So I went out and got him. And then I said, man, I need an e-commerce specialist. I need somebody that's got e-com, because I'm not an e-com guy. Completely different business model. So then we went out and we found Andrew Sabatino, former vice president of Safe Life Defense, took that company from 9 million to 50 million in a single year, 120 employees, number one body armor company in the world with no venture capital. We recruited him. And then we got Antwan. We recruited him. So we've invested all of that to bring all of that experience to our clients. Now, what we're attempting to do here, and we're going to be very successful with it, you know, the two of us, is I don't have what you have. You have so much talent and so much experience. I'm not naive enough to think that I'm going to be able to service and serve real estate professionals at my best without a rock star like you.
Oh, you're very kind.
It's not going to happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to come together and we're going to take the funnels that are being ran Grant Cardone, Tony Robbins, Jordan Belfort, all the internet marketers that are doing millions upon millions of dollars a month. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but Cardone's doing $27 million a month right now. When I met Cardone, 2014, 2013, I know him from the car dealership space, but let me tell you, he was making like $600,000 a year.
Wow.
Jared Glant was sleeping on his couch. Like, it was a small operation, and to see somebody do that, they got 450 employees now.
Wow.
So what I'm about is like looking at that and seeing that potential. There's so much potential here. So what I want to do with you is I want to bring all that experience that we've had working with these clients. I want to bring the internet marketing side to them, and then I want to bring you to them. Us blend our talents together and serve as many real estate professionals as we can.
I am all in, my dear. I am all in. I think realtors are the hardest working people out there, and it's time that they learned how to have a more elegant business that comes to them and they don't have to chase.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's two ways too we can do this, and we haven't even really talked about this, kind of just off the cuff. But one thing with Luxvoni is we've got such a streamlined process now that we can build funnels very quickly, and we can almost guarantee the results because we have so much data. But the second thing is what I've been thinking with you is like, okay, some people are going to want the done for you. Let's build them a funnel. Let's run their ads on pure performance. Let's guarantee them listings, or we give them their money back. Like, let's craft an irresistible offer like that. But on the second side, how do we coach them? Maybe some of these people are just getting in the game and done for you's out of the question. If that's the case, how do we build some type of ultimate courseware, ultimate group coaching program that enables them to get access to you, that enables them to get access to my team, my staff, our people collectively together, and provide them with the tools and resources they need to grow? I think those are two options that will really, really help us impact a lot of people.
Yeah. I agree 100%. And those are both beautiful business models that are easy to implement and that will, like you said, serve a whole lot of real estate agents and help them grow and build their business and stay in the game as we go through a very turbulent market.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that. So
me too. And best of all, the strategies and the systems that you have will help real estate agents not only sell more houses, but theoretically should be able to sell the houses more quickly and for higher sales prices. So really serving the needs of their clients too, because if you take care of the needs of the clients, then you've got business for life. They're going to keep coming back to you. They're going to send you their friends and their family and all of that. So that's the other really powerful thing about what you do. You make it much easier for people to sell their homes for top dollar.
Yeah.
Very excited about this partnership.
Yeah, me too. And I think the other thing, you mentioned something that was very important, referrals.
Yep.
I think that's something we neglect a lot. And I neglected it for years because we were like this elite 1% thing. And I was like, I would turn away business purposely because I only wanted to work with certain people. Right. And it got to the point to where when we started to morph, I started to realize if you focus on what's in the best interest of the customer at all times, it's not about revenue. It's about focusing on that, innovating that problem, solving that problem. And then the money just follows. If you do that, what you'll realize is like our ROAS, just for example, let's say we spend $1 million a month on ads, which we don't, but let's say we do. In order to make $5 million a month, that's the only thing that changes. So that's all I have to spend different. I just got to spend $1 million a month on ads to make 5. But the crazy thing is what makes that so powerful is we typically get a 6 to 8x ROAS at scale. Now, when I say ROAS, it's return on ad spend. So if we spend $100,000, we'll make 600 to 800,000 back. But the reason why that number is so high is because every customer turns into 3 customers. So those referrals are like very dramatic, and you've got to think about that in your real estate business. How do I show the customer what it's like to be a customer before they're ever a customer? That's step one. You do that through bespokeness. You do that through aesthetics. You do that through setting yourself up as a brand. Now, branding is something that's difficult to track, but you've got to consider everything that's in there. You're getting these people to trade money. You must look like money. It's a big investment, right? Like if they're buying a house, it's huge.
Yeah. All right.
So I think that's the foundation of your entire business, the funnel. If you get the funnel right, everything else is easier. And then after that, you've got your pitch, how do you accommodate the customers? How do you sell the customers? How do you do what's in their best interest? You're the coach. They're coming to you as a realtor for one reason. If they thought they could buy a house on their own, it'd be a different situation. Right. You're the coach. You're the subject matter expert. So your job as a realtor is to do what? It's to coach the person into whatever is the best interest for them,
right? For
their desires. So all you have to do is be a good coach. And then all the back end comes together. But if you do those things, my point being long-winded, but if you do those things, you can make way more money than you've ever made. Just imagine every customer that you have today turns into 2 customers.
Mm-hmm.
Your marketing budget becomes unlimited.
Right. Oh, yeah. Very quickly. 100%. 100%.
And you're making money. You don't need funding. You're self-funding everything.
Right.
So that's what I want to bring to these people. Show them that it is possible. Because I don't care what industry you're in, you can do this. Whether you're product-based business, service-based business, realtor, it doesn't matter. It's all the same. And I think people get stuck, that limiting belief of, will this work for credit repair? Will this work for fitness? Will this work for realtors? Will this work for this and that? Everything that we do is 2 things. Current situations, desired situations. That's all we do. Our products just void the gap. So if we can focus on that as realtors, as professionals, and get the rest of that out of our heads,
right,
we can be successful together.
And turn down all the noise around it, not be distracted by every other shiny object that comes along.
That's a scary one, right?
Yeah. Yeah, especially as you start to get a little bit of success. Because when people see that you're having some success, what do they want to do? They want to introduce you to their brother-in-law that's got a special deal just for you. And I got this new marketing system and blah, 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 blah. And then you're down a rabbit hole. And that happens. That happens really fast. So stay with what works and then throw gas on the fire.
On the fire. I do one thing and one thing only and nothing else. For that reason.
Right.
Like I've got $400,000 on the street of just money that's owed to me from years of doing stupid stuff like that. And now I realize, like, if I don't understand it, there's no point of doing it. So keep your money for you, because as you become more successful, every level there's another devil. It gets worse. All the you think that the problems you have now, like, you're going to love the problems that you had when you were struggling or broke, because then once you get there, it's a whole nother ball game. Now you got press issues. Now you got this. Now you got that. Now you got, it's so much. And I think I heard this Instagram video the other day. It was like, when I was like struggling, this guy was talking about, he's like, when I was struggling, I didn't understand why people needed attorneys. And he's like, now that I'm worth 25 million, God, I see why. Because everybody wants something from you. You know what I'm saying? So protecting yourself, that's important too.
100%. 100%. And protecting your energy too, not just your finances, but your energy. That's one of the biggest things that you have to learn. I remember Jack Nicklaus talking about how, or Nicholson, the actor, talking about how the reason that he always wore sunglasses is because if he didn't wear sunglasses, people were always making eye contact with him, and that he felt like it was taking away part of his energy, and that maybe that's not the exact way that he worded it, but that people were always trying to pull from him. And so sometimes you have to put on your sunglasses and your blinders and really focus on what's going to make me money today. What's going to make me money, what's going to keep me in a happy, prosperous, wonderful relationship. And those are my 2 main things. How do I stay in a great place with Super Dave? And how do I stay in a great place in my business? Because when Dave and I are in a great place and my business is in a great place, man, everything else is easy.
Life is good.
Yep. That's exactly right.
Well, I enjoyed this. I'm glad we did this, and I think we gave a lot of value to the viewers.
Me too. And Dakota, I love your energy. I'm so blessed and excited about this partnership. And we're going to help so many people achieve a whole nother level of prosperity.
We are. We're going to do whatever it takes, help them level up, get to the next level.
Yeah.
And with you, we can do it. So I'm super excited. Just keep an eye out on what's to come, because we're going to be doing a lot of great things together. But this is going to be good, and I really enjoyed you. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for cutting out the time. We're both on vacation till January anyways, but we made it happen.
And I got to tell you what, this didn't feel anything like work. This was an absolute pleasure, my dear. And I can't wait to meet you face to face. So.
Yeah, likewise. Well, you do your thing. Enjoy your day. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Dakota.
And looking forward to this.
Blessings to you. Thank you so much.